What's up, guys? Welcome back to MLG Prizefights presented by BIC Flex4 Razors. I'm JP McDaniel. That's Wolf. We are going into Game 5 here for Zaka and Seiplo. As we just saw Seiplo force Game 5 there, of course, in Game 4 and 3, taking those two. Zaka taking the first two. Now it's basically a best of one to see who's going to be taking home this $500. Let's go ahead and jump into Shakura's Plateau here as the 5th and final map, as we're going to see Zaka spawn in the bottom left-hand corner of it as the red Protoss. In the bottom right-hand corner will be Seiplo as the blue Protoss.
Well, I've said it in several games. I think that it's hard to predict what these two players are going to do. They have their own plan. And in PvP, you have a certain set of builders you want to use on certain maps. Sometimes you can't do that if you already used a builder earlier, or if your opponent beats you a certain way, you want to use your builder twice. So it's hard to predict what these two players are going to do, really. But we do see an early scout coming out for Zaka, just like usual. This guy really likes those early scouts, wants to make sure he's 100% safe. He plays on the EU ladder a lot. I'm sure he has a reason for that.
And Seiplo actually never scouts here that early on. In fact, I don't think I've seen him do it 5 games in a row now. But we also haven't really seen any cheese from either of these players. So, in fact, I don't think have you ever seen Zaka do anything like a proxy gate or something super cheesy like that?
Not a proxy gate, but I have seen him cannon rush before, and I have seen him go for 4-gate all-ins quite often. So
okay,
so he does throw it in there, yeah.
He is not just the be-all kind of macro player that a lot of people. I honestly think that is kind of his shtick that a lot of people believe him to be. You know.
Yeah.
He's always so consistent.
He all-ined a lot more in the beta. I remember the first MLG I ever watched. The first game I watched, he was playing a PvP, and I think he was against Kiwikaki, if I'm not mistaken. He did a 4-gate. It was like the first game I ever watched of MLG, and it was cool.
That is, how long ago was that? That must have been quite the throwback.
I guess it was like 2.5 years ago or something.
Zach, you've been playing a lot of StarCraft, man. You know, he's actually one of the I think there's like maybe 5, 6 foreigners that have logged over 1,000 tournament games on TLPD, and he's one of them. He plays in almost every single cup over there in Europe, or at least he was. I don't know if he is anymore, as we've seen him playing a lot more MLGs as of late, but this guy plays more games than I think most foreigners out there for sure. At least tournament games. That's
really interesting. I did not know he had that many hours, but a lot of Europeans have this, I've heard, where they play in almost every tournament. And that's really cool because that's a great way to practice it for lands, for example, when you have to plan builders for certain maps that you know, or if you have to think on the spot, against opponents going through a bracket. Whereas sitting at home on the ladder, you're playing against someone who may just be trying to get points. It's a very different type of environment. This Stalker is actually going to damage this Zealot, but he's not going to be able to do much else.
Oh, yeah, he's found the 2 Stalkers up on the high ground, loses his shields. Now he's losing a lot of his HP, but he should only take one more shot. And, he actually might lose it there as he sets a trap for Seiplo, and now Seiplo's going to be the one running back, but he's only losing shields here, which will eventually recharge.
Yeah, pretty big win there for Seiplo in that fight, and he's going to turn around. This has kind of been a back and forth battle. This happens a lot on Shakuras, especially because of the line of sight blockers. It's really hard to tell what's on the other side. Both these players going Blink Soccer Observer. This is by far the best map in any map pool that's ever been created for this build.
Yeah.
I mean, you can blink in from any angle, so might as well do this build and make a Nexus. We may see both players make a Nexus, and then we'll have that game I described earlier where you have Colossi battles. I think that's probably what we're going to see because there's the timing of both these players. I don't think either one is going to be like, all right, now I'm going to attack with my Stalkers and my Observer and just do an all-in, add a bunch of gateways. That's just not smart on this map.
Zaka already having 1 sentry out, which kind of leads me to believe he's going to play somewhat defensive here, but he can also just use that for Guardian Shield in a big fight, and it really helps out a lot with the damage mitigation that it does have on it. Here's another probe going out. So we already saw one go up to the northern Zelnaga tower, and it looks like he's just going to throw down a pylon as Seiplo is moving out here with these Blink Stalkers being very aggressive in the middle of the map as he now takes his Zelnaga towers, and he's going to be able to catch that Stalker off guard.
Well, that happens when you have Blink first, and he's actually going to be able to get this one as well.
Oh, and right now that is 6 to 8. That is the difference here in the Stalkers. And it might not seem like that big of a number, but it really actually is at this current stage in the game.
Yeah, and now it's 11 to 8. And, I mean, they were almost even, minus those 2 Stalkers killed. He's keeping up better production than Zaka right now as well. They're both adding an additional gateway and literally are playing the same. When you have Blink Stalker Immortal versus Blink Stalker Immortal, and before the Immortals come out, just pure Blink Stalker against pure Blink Stalker, sometimes things get crazy. Oh, this Observer, will he get taken out? Yep.
Yeah, and why do you, I mean, he saw the Observer. I guess that's good enough to go and snipe it. He wasn't really hiding anything, but perhaps by taking it out, it makes Zaka think that he was. So maybe he's going to play a little bit more defensively because of that. I like the decision to actually go back the more I think about it there from Seiplo and take that out, because it just raises so many questions for your opponent.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. I mean, you know that your opponent will not be able to backstab you with Blink Stalkers at all now. So that's why he's being so active on the map, because he knows, oh, okay, there's no way your Stalkers can just blink into my main base. I'm absolutely certain of that. Gotta be careful blinking on Shakuras, because sometimes you make one Stalker a little bit left out up on top of the high ground over there, and gonna make sure that doesn't happen and you lose one of your Stalkers that way.
Yeah. And let's see right now, is Seiplo actually gonna commit? Another Observer just pops out, so he will see that army. Zaka will. And with that, he will not move down the ramp. Seiplo seems very non-committal at the moment, but he has thrown down a Nexus back at home, so that might be the reason why.
Yeah, that is going to be the reason why. And Zaka, if he doesn't find out about this, he's going to be in trouble. He does have a pylon near the Nexus, but it doesn't spot it. Oh, this could get weird.
Okay, I thought that Seiplo was going to just blink into Zaka's main, but he does not do so. Decides to blink away and fall back with his Observer. Where's the Observer? Okay, looks like it was down south for some reason for Zaka. Kind of a weird standoff here. So we have a Zealot being warped in, or already warped in now, going into the main. Doesn't have any kills, though. It is going to be able to get so much of this information. It gets blocked as, no, it squeezes its way through. And he is not going to get any of those probe kills. Seiplo actually having 100 energy on his main Nexus right now. But so does Zaka, so there's really not much that they can chrono boost aside from the warp gates.
Yeah, this happens sometimes, and I've seen this. People be like, "Oh, we should be using his chrono boost," and in PvP you shouldn't be, because there's nothing to use it on. He's actually just going to do a huge blink in here, and Seiplo is completely out of position. He loses a Zealot and a Pylon. He's going to lose a gas as well, and that's oh so important, because that really limits how much he can produce. And a blink in, but he will just get right out, not losing a single unit there.
Yeah, it's such a smart play there from Zaka, as he, I think he saw it with the Pylon that the army was over at the natural, so he knew he could get in and deal some damage. All of the probes had to be pulled there. Right now, probe count is 32 to 29 with Zaka in the lead. Still not mining, though, from his naturals. The probes are just now rallying over there. Still no tech just yet. We see him throwing down a Forge. Of course, if he gets those upgrades in PvP, it is so strong compared to when your opponent does not have any. It's really kind of the end game that a lot of Protoss players are starting to throw in now, because it helps out so much.
Yeah, it's funny because until you can get Forge upgrades, it's so bad to do them because it costs so much gas, and it may never even finish because you might just die. That's how PvP is. But now that people are going to the late game, it's pretty good. These Stalkers are actually going to blink in at a decent time here. Going to get some probes. He wants to, I think, get the gas to counteract what his opponent did, but he has to be careful. He's going to lose some units, and Zaka actually pulling way ahead here, getting several Stalkers. And not only that, he has the robotic support bay first. He's got the Colossus lead and the Forge upgrades going. He's in great shape. He's even going to chase these Stalkers. He's not done.
Yeah, and wow, a little bit of a late blink there from Seiplo. No Observer, though, from Zaka, so he cannot chase up the ramp. First Colossus is out for Zaka. Has not researched the extended thermal lance, but he has begun chrono boosting that ground weapons level 1, and that is what you're going to see chrono boost used for primarily here, as well as the Colossus. Once he gets maybe 2 or 3, it's going to be very troublesome for Seiplo, but now Seiplo's moving out with these 4 Immortals, and that is pretty scary himself.
Yeah, the 4 Immortals are the one thing he has up his sleeve, and that's what he's going to have to use. He's either going to win this game with this fight, or he's going to lose it, because he doesn't have a backup plan. He doesn't have a robotic support bay on the way. He doesn't have a third base, no Forge. He doesn't even have, Charge or Archon tech coming out. He is totally committed to this attack.
I love what Seiplo is actually doing here. He's kind of got a concave all around Zaka's base here, and warping in the north, doing some damage to those rocks so he can blink in the back possibly, and now he's just going straight up the ramp.
This is going to be a pretty big attack. This one will decide the game. Blinks forward, and he's trying to target down these Colossi, but to be honest, there may just be too much DPS in these Immortals.
Yeah, +1 finished right as Seiplo actually charged up here, and now the Colossus are really starting to do a ton of damage. Those 4 Immortals are now at the forefront, and they are just crushing the Stalkers of Zaka, and I think Seiplo might actually come back and win this right now as the army of Zaka is gone, and so is the Colossus. Good game. Wow. Seiplo comes down from an 0-2 deficit and wins the best of 5 in the $500 with 3 games in a row. I did not expect that whatsoever, Wolf.
Yeah, I did not either. And to be perfectly honest, when I saw the attack coming, I was thinking, okay, maybe he holds. He's got the Colossus.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have range, and he doesn't have the second Colossus right away. So the Immortals really won out that battle for him. His micro was really good. His targeting was good, but the Immortals were the most important part. He blinked his Stalkers to the side when he blinked up, so he targeted the Colossus a little bit, but allowed his Immortals to come up. They weren't wasting any time. They were able to fire the full amount of damage they needed to do, and the Immortals really won him that game. Even though +1 finished right at the end, there was just no second Colossus, no range.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, congratulations to Seiplo for taking home the $500 in our first best of 5 here for MLG Prize Fights. Coming up next is going to be our second match of the night as Losira goes up against Gonzi. When we come back, we'll preview the match a little bit and then jump straight into it. We'll see you guys then.